Yeah, exactly. The other thing that I wanted to discuss, kind of indirectly related to this, is, whenever it points to, the that in the grades of lotuses where, you know Amida Buddha will and his assembly will at the end of your life appear to you, or appear to you in a dream, you know um
Mm.
at the end of your existence, or whatever, however that's put. At some point I'd like to discuss, I know dreams in Buddhism are, there's different teachings about that, but I've had four very significant dreams in the course of time of that I've been, um,
Mm.
a Jodo Shinshu, um, practitioner, I guess you'd say, call it. And two of them very recent this week that were very,
Oh.
very, like, directly, you know, profoundly, striking to me. But
Mhm.
do you mind if I just describe those, since the dream came out where it mentions the dream?
Yeah, please
And
do.
we'll probably unpack, maybe discuss these at another time. But one of the this was earlier on. This was, when I was working with one, particular group, um,
Mhm.
and the I had a dream where I was in a temple. I was in a Buddhist temple, um, and it was kind of, but it had, like, places to sit, almost like pews type things, so not we weren't, it wasn't a, sitting on the ground kind of thing or anything
Mhm.
like that. It was chairs or pews or whatever. And the and there was, like, sort of nothing toward the front and no one, um and of the temple. It just kind of,
Mm.
it's almost like it spoke for itself. That, do you know what I mean? And I was like, what's going on here? I suddenly realized I'm in the temple, and there's nothing and no one up front officiating anything or doing anything, or, do you know what I mean? There's no images, there's no. And I turned around, and there were some monks behind me, very Theravada kind of looking, you know what I mean, with those kind of robes and things. And I it might not have been Theravada, they might just, but very traditional garbed,
Mhm.
monks sitting behind me. One very young monk, and I looked at him, and I was like, uh, if I, is there, is am I, there's kind of like, is something else going to happen, or is there, am I waiting, do you know what I mean? What's
Mm.
going on here? And he just pointed back, pointed me back, just pointed me back in a, what I mean, toward the front. Kind of almost like, and the message, or the, not message, but that intuitive somehowness was, yes, it's inconceivable, but that's the truth. The truth, and it was Amida's light.
Yeah.
It was Amida that's up front. It's Amida's teaching. It's Amida's practice. It's Amida's light is up there. Just that is, yeah, no, you got it
The
right.
direction.
Yeah, yeah. And it was kind of like there's nothing to do. You know what I mean? Am I supposed to do something? Is no that do you know what I mean? And so that really stayed with me. That struck me.
No.
I tried to
Amazing.
discuss it at one point with someone that I was working with at the time, and they just were kind of, well, it was a dream, but I don't know what you want me to do with that. Do you know what I mean? I was like, well, okay. But
No.
anyway, I mean, they were very helpful in other ways with the Dharma dialogue
Yeah.
and teachings. But, to me, I felt like that was really a significant,
Yeah.
sort of.
Definitely.
So that was one. And then this is much later, when I was working with another, Sangha, another group. I had a dream
Mhm.
where I was in a museum. And whenever I'm in a museum, I always go to the Buddhist stuff, the Eastern, the Chinese, Japanese, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of, you know, whatever it is, Southeast Asia, whatever. Where I'm that part of the museum I'm going to, I'm trying to find, for the Buddhist, you know what I mean? And so that wasn't unusual. But when I got to this one hallway, and it's very kind of, the classic looking, very kind of Romanesque, kind of the columns and things, and this
Uh-huh.
very white, but it was very pristine. This one section was really beautiful and white and pristine and clean. And in the middle of the where you just walk through, there wasn't a huge amount of things on the side. It was very kind of sparsely, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
with the other things. But the main feature was in the middle of the walkway was this giant head of the Buddha, um, huge giant head of the Buddha, the Buddha mind, right there at where you'd walk, where you're walking, and not, you didn't have to look and turn. It was just right there in your way, like right there, um, and I was just like blown away. This is amazing. I've never, for some reason it really struck me, and no one else seemed to be kind of noticing it. They just thought, oh yeah, it's just another museum thing. But for me, it was just
Mhm.
like, this is so ancient. It's huge.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I saw like this like kind of platform it was on almost, and it was like this whole
Mhm.
nother world, kind of like almost like, and it
Mm.
with pavilions and almost like the Pure Land. Do you know what I mean? In it,
Mhm.
in the
Mm.
dream, that's basically what it was. That suddenly, and I was like turning to see if anybody else could see this, and I turned back and it wasn't there. It was back to the just the you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The head. And I was trying to figure out,
Wow.
why, how do I see that again? How do I get up there on the platform? Like all my calculations. I want to get on that platform. I want to get up. How do I, and even when I was seeing it, I couldn't quite get up there. Do you see what I mean? And it was me striving. So that was that. And then the two this week were very similar to that I had these two dreams. One was, it was kind of set in the 70s. It
Uh,
was,
Dankai, do you want to maybe stop sharing the screen so that we're full
oh
size
yes, yes,
while
yes,
we're
yes,
while we're
yes.
discussing?
Yeah, just this. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So there's this. So it's like set in the 70s, this dream. And because and it just the way people looked in the street, it was almost like one of those movies, only not as urban a landscape, more of a like suburban kind of thing. It
Uh,
wasn't, but it was that kind of feel, you know what I mean? People hanging
yeah.
out in the street. And I remember because my one aunt and uncle in the 70s where I would go to visit in the summers and stay for like, a week or a couple of weeks or whatever, a month or whatever. And in a particular part of the state where I lived, it was quite beautiful. The Pocono, it was near the Poconos, basically. So
Mhm.
anyway, and there was all these people, and there was these like two cars, and there was a space. There was like cars in the street, but then there was this space on
Mhm.
the street next to the sidewalk, and people would kind of come there. And if you got there, it was people that had this like dilemma in their life, or had come to a point where they just couldn't get any further with whatever they were doing. And it was
Yeah.
there, it was kind of like, and then literally it just, the thought
Mm.
or the intuition came in the dream that this was their moment where they have to have to realize either, okay, this is the path, self-power path to enlightenment, or the other power. Like either I can do
Uh,
this or I can't do this. Do you know what I mean? You know,
yeah.
either I'm an extraordinary being of some sort, or have, and I've made vows in the past, so I have to, realize that, or I'm an ordinary bamboo, you know, and
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? It was very much in the,
Uh-huh.
and but it came from different people, different walks of life, and the dilemma was kind of different for everybody. But you know what I mean?
Mm.
They'd come to that
Yeah.
point where they couldn't, and it was, more other things going on in their lives that kind of were symbolic of that. But that was essentially,
Mm.
and when they got between these two cars, that they had to like, it was, you know what I mean? It was like decision time, like, or at least that was
Yeah.
revealed in their mind, you know, that this is your, between these two, you know,
Between the cars.
Scylla, and, so I was thinking, yeah, the different archetypical, things, between a
Yeah,
rock
that's
and a hard
interesting.
place, rock and a hard place, and, you know, that all those that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And then the other dream, this was again this week, I think two nights in a row. This was last night. I had another similar dream where I was planning my day and this thing I was going to do, whatever it was, with people or with my work or with the
Mm.
whatever it was, and I had to either give a presentation or implement, come up with this plan and then implement it and do all these things. And then there was like, um, in the end, you had to go into this booth like this, like it was very sci-fi. It was like this, like round, you know, clear, transparent booth you'd go
Yeah.
into, and everything you were trying to work out and do was was irrelevant. and it sort of sorted everything for you, whatever this was, it that when you went into this booth, it sorted out all the things, your mind, the day, whatever your thing was going to be, and then you could
Yeah.
it enabled you to do it, kind of thing. So I just thought, again, that would seem very,
Interesting.
the
The Dharma
calculating
boot.
mind versus the, I'm making all these plans and I got to figure this out and I got to do this. I must do, but in the end, this just does it and sorts it all out
Yeah.
for you. Yeah. So I thought that was it too this week, a very similar, strong, which were tied to the, the other,
Thematically
the
linked.
second one that I had. Yeah. So, trying to figure out, how
Yeah.
do I get on that platform? How do I, you know, yeah. But anyway,
Yeah. That's amazing. I think
yeah,
um the dream about the large head or sculpture of the
yeah,
Buddha's head
yeah,
is interesting.
yeah,
There's a temple in Nara called Kofukuji that has a treasure museum. And
yeah,
one of the first things you see when you walk in
yeah.
um, is this enormous head of
Oh,
the Buddha
wow.
on a pedestal.
Wow.
And
That's,
it's actually it's actually the head of Shakyamuni sculpted by the great Unke, was one of the great sculptors um, of the time of that period. And when I first saw this image, I just stood there and I mean, my mouth probably fell open because it was so powerful.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
the presence that in the personality of the Buddha, that just and the compassion that just
yeah,
you sensed in this image. I
yeah.
was
That's what,
just I
yeah.
couldn't believe it. It kind of reminded me of your dream a
That's
little bit.
exactly, that's a very similar, that's a very, similar description to how it experienced that
You know,
in the dream times, 100 or something, it was like, and it was actually on like a dais pedestal, like lotus, throne, and then that's what
yeah,
became the platform, and then suddenly the Pure Land was all kind of there. You know
that's
what I
amazing.
mean on this, and that's what I
Well,
was
you
trying.
should,
How do I get up there? How do I? And it would just keep disappearing
yeah,
and just be the Buddha head again. And anyway, yeah,
you should consider yourself very fortunate to have like dreams in which the Dharma appear. You know, like Dharma dream,
I
so
do.
to speak.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
I'm
great.
very grateful. Very, very grateful. So, and on
And
that note,
there's a
perhaps we
lot of
should. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah,
yeah. We could wrap it up, but I just
yeah.
wanted to say there's a lot of records of dreams in Rinyo Shonin's like the heard and recorded collection,
Mm,
and you know, dreams are definitely obviously a huge part of the Shin tradition, starting
mm,
with Shinron's sort of dream vision of Shotoku,
yes.
Avalokiteshvara, and Rokakudo, and then Shinron's wife also had a dream in which she sort of saw Shinron as
Hmm.
a bodhisattva,
Hmm. Yeah,
And
exactly.
then
Yeah.
she ended up never telling him about that dream. But that's interesting because supposedly Shinron also had a dream in which he saw
Yeah.
a bodhisattva taking the shape of his wife. So
Yeah.
apparently they both
Yeah.
believed each other to be bodhisattvas, which I thought that's probably a good way to have a good marriage.
Yes,
To
exactly.
view each other as
As a bodhisattva.
bodhisattvas.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, dreams, it's
Yeah.
that's wonderful. I,
Yeah. It's
I'm a little
fantastic.
surprised. The one about the monk who pointed the finger, toward
Yes,
the
it was
front.
the
That's
years, the pointing at the moon almost. Yeah, the classic
uh,
Zen. It was very Zen. The temple itself was very Zen, and that empty space at the front, just the wall, you know what
yeah,
I mean? But that's what was, yep, that's it. You can't conceive it. There's nothing for you to
yeah.
do.
That's
Anyway,
great.
yeah. Right. Well, thank you very much. We didn't say Nembutsu going in, but shall we say Nembutsu
Oh
going out?
yeah. Shall
Yeah.
we? Let's
And I
close
feel
with
in my
Nimbutsu.
rush to
Yes.
this morning, I didn't grab my Nenju. So
No
anyway,
worries. All
Namo
right.
Amida.
Namo
Oh, sorry.
Nimbutsu.
Nembutsu.
How
Namo
shall
Amida
we?
Butsu.
Yes, got
Yeah.
you.
Gotcha.
Namo Amida
Amida
Butsu.
Butsu.
Namo Amida
Namo Amida
Butsu.
Butsu.
Namo
Namo Amida Butsu. Namo
Shinatana Butsu.
Namida Butsu. Namida. Nam.
All
Excellent. Well,
right.
thank you very
So
much.
yeah, we can
Until next time.
probably yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to meet next week, but
Okay.
can definitely probably make it either on I think the 27th. So I'll
Hmm.
let you know though in case
Okay.
after I look at my schedule. But all
Sounds
right.
good. All right. Take
All
care.
right. As
All the
always,
best.
great
All right.
discussion.
Bye bye.
Yeah, have
Yeah.
a good day.
All right. Bye.
See ya.